All right, today we're going to dive into two of the most powerful stories from the Islamic tradition. We're talking about two different prophets from totally different times, but you're going to see they share this incredible, unifying theme about what it takes to stand up for the truth. Let's get right into it.
So on one side, we have Prophet Ibrahim, who's known as the friend of God, and on the other, Prophet Isa, known as the Word of God. Yeah, they lived centuries apart, but both of their stories really pivot on this same unbelievably courageous act, challenging the core beliefs of their entire society with a truth that just seemed impossible for anyone to accept.
And that's really where the heart of this conflict lies. It's one thing to believe something yourself, but it's a whole other ballgame to stand up and shout it from the rooftops when it goes against everything your family, your community, your entire culture believes in.
So, this is the big question that really defines the early life of Prophet Ibrahim. It's a tough one, right? It makes you think about courage, about real conviction, and what truth even means. Let's see how his story gives us an answer.
Now, what's so fascinating here is just how personal this whole thing was for him. We're in ancient Babylon, where society revolves around worshiping these idols. And get this, Ibrahim's own father isn't just a believer. He's the one actually making and selling these statues. I mean, the tradition couldn't have hit closer to home.
So Abraham comes up with this absolutely brilliant and symbolic plan. He gets that just talking isn't going to cut it. He has to show them. So he waits for a big city festival when he knows the temple will be empty. He goes in and he just completely dismantles this illusion of power. He smashes all the smaller idols, and then, in this genius move, he leaves the axe just resting on the shoulder of the biggest idol. He's setting the stage for a lesson they will never forget.
And here it is, the moment of truth. The townspeople come back, they are furious, and they confront him. But he doesn't confess. Nope, he just points to the biggest idol and says, "Why don't you ask him?" When they admit the idol can't possibly speak, he hits them with this devastatingly simple question. And for a second, you can feel it. It works. The people see how absurd it all is. But, pride is a powerful thing.
Okay, now let's pivot to our second story, which presents a similar but also very different kind of challenge. This one isn't about logic. It's about defending a miracle, something that completely defies any rational explanation. And this was the challenge facing Maryam, the mother of Prophet Isa.
The situation here is just as intense. Maryam, who's known by everyone for her piety, gets this incredible news. She's going to have a child, a miracle from God. But just try to put yourself in her shoes for a minute. She knew that to her community, this wasn't going to look like a miracle. It was going to look like a massive scandal.
And just as she expected, she comes back with the baby Isa, and she's met with nothing but outrage and accusations. But here's the amazing part. Instead of trying to defend herself with words, she does something profound. She stays completely silent and just points to the baby. This is an act of just supreme faith, right? She's putting her entire trust in God's plan to clear her name.
So in both of these stories, we get to this breaking point, right? Where human logic and faith are stretched to their absolute limit. And this is where everything changes. This is where a miracle steps in and provides proof that no one can possibly argue with.
For Ibrahim, that brilliant logic trap of his, it actually backfires. Instead of seeing the truth he just showed them, the people's pride just curdles into pure rage. Their solution? Get rid of the guy telling the truth by chucking him into a giant fire. This was it, the ultimate test of his faith.
And then, the miracle happens. As Ibrahim is thrown into the flames, God intervenes directly. The fire itself gets a command, be cool and safe, and Ibrahim walks out completely fine. You can just imagine the people staring at this undeniable, impossible sign of divine protection. It's an incredible illustration of the power that guards those who stand for what's right.
And for Maryam, the miracle is just as stunning, just as mind-blowing. The baby she pointed to, this helpless infant in her arms, he speaks. He not only clears his mother's name, but declares his own mission right then and there. The shock must have been absolute. A newborn speaking? That's a miracle that silences every single doubter and proves Maryam's incredible faith in an instant.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? I mean, these miracles weren't just spectacular light shows. They had a much deeper purpose: to protect the messenger and to prove that there was one single unbreakable message at the heart of both of these stories.
And when you put the lessons side by side like this, that shared message becomes so clear. Both stories are about standing for truth and worshiping God alone. Both show us that God protects his servants and that his power is absolute.
Ibrahim's story really hammers home that idea of trusting in God's protection, while Isa's story highlights that any miracle, any power, comes only from God's will.
So, here's the bottom line. The miracles were the proof, but the message is what truly matters. When you boil both of these amazing stories down, you end up with this single, powerful lesson. It doesn't matter if you're facing a literal furnace of fire or a furnace of false accusations, the principle is the same. Trust in God, and the truth will always be protected.
And this isn't just some story from long ago. The real beauty here is how these themes, courage, truth, unwavering faith, they still echo today. They still challenge us right here, right now.
Which brings us to a final thought. Ibrahim challenged actual idols made of stone and wood. But what are the idols of our time? You know, the unquestioned traditions, the social beliefs we just accept, the convenient ideas that aren't really true? What are the things being challenged by truth today? It's definitely something worth thinking about.